Well, hello there. How are you? I hope you're good. Today I come to you with a recent reads, and I have a feeling this is going to be a very short recent reads, only because, well, mainly because I read these books forever ago, and my memory on these books is just, you know, small. Oh, I'm forever behind. I'm so sorry. But without further ado, here are some books that I read last year that I failed to talk about, and let's just get started. The first book I have is The Big Fat Kill by Frank Miller. This is the third volume in the Sin City series. Yeah. I have all of the volumes for Sin City, I believe, and I've only read up to the third. Man, I fail. And it might sound like I don't like these books, but that's a lie. Honestly, I really enjoy these. I just fail at picking up these books. I just fail at life in general. So because this is the third volume, I don't really want to tell you too much to avoid spoilers, but as we all know, Sin City is very dark, graphic, violent, filled with sex and drugs, all that stuff. It's very gritty. I mean, you've probably seen the movies, maybe, possibly. I actually haven't even seen the second movie. I don't remember. Gosh, I fail. But what I will tell you about this volume is that this one is really centered around loyalty. What will you do to protect your friends, sort of thing. It's very good. I enjoyed it. Yeah. Like I said before, I read this forever ago and I can't really tell you much more than that, but I enjoyed it and I plan to read the rest. When will that be? I don't know. No. And after that, I read CivilWarLand in Bad Decline by George Saunders. This is the second short story collection that I read by Saunders. I would say that I preferred the first one that I read, Pastoralia, a bit more, although I think the reason for that is because I read this really fast. I read this during the Booktubeathon, so I read this really fast. Oh, I can't talk. So that's probably why I didn't take my time with this when I should have, so I definitely need to reread this sometime in the future because my brain and my memory on these stories honestly is really fuzzy. But what I can tell you is that these stories are so good. They are so very much worth your time. These stories are so witty and funny, but they'll make you so uncomfortable too. And I don't know how Saunders is able to tell such a depressing story yet make it so lighthearted, but I love it and I enjoyed it and I liked it and I still need to reread it. And another thing, I think I've said this before, but George Saunders really reminds me of Vonnegut, so if you are a Vonnegut fan, then you need to read some Saunders, so do that. Yeah. And then we have Soulja Boy by Keely Hutton. I feel as if I've talked about this book so much on my channel before. I know I have. I mentioned it in my favorites video. I've mentioned it in probably a couple tags, blah blah blah. But Soulja Boy, as we all know, is my favorite book that I read last year. It is so good and I recommend it to everyone. I've talked about this book so much that Keely Hutton herself sent me a personalized signed copy and I cried. So there's that. But for those that aren't aware, this is based on a true story. It's a fictionalized account of Ricky Anwar's time as a child soldier in Uganda as a part of Joseph Kony's rebel army. We also follow Samuel, a character that represents the thousands of child soldiers that Ricky has helped rehabilitate as a part of his program that he founded called Friends of Orphans. I think that's what it's called. So this is a young adult book, and I don't really read much young adult anymore just because I feel that a lot of stuff is recycled and really watered down. Now that's just me personally. If you read young adult, totally fine. But in reading this, I was so surprised, and honestly, I wish this was more widely read. I wish more people were reading this because BookTube is so filled with young adult readers, and yet I don't see this on anyone's channel, and it makes me really sad because this is a really important read. It's not an easy read, it hits you really hard, but it's one of those stories that should just be read by everyone, and it's not just a good young adult book, it's a good book in general. So I really recommend this and you should read it because I said so. And then I read A Short History of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. This copy is really damaged. I got it secondhand, but it's okay. It's floppy and it was fine. Anyway, I would say this was a delight, really. This felt like Bryson was on a quest to answer the biggest questions we have about the universe and about us as people as a whole, really. You know, how did we end up to where we are now, kind of thing. And I just really enjoyed it. There is so much information being thrown at you just left and right that you'd think this would be overwhelming, but Bryson writes in such a way that instead it's just really fun and entertaining. So that's why I really enjoyed it. And in reading this, honestly, I really want to read more Bill Bryson now, and I think he has a book called A Walk in the Woods that I want to pick up next, eventually. Going to read it. Will read more Bill Bryson in the future. And the last book I'm going to talk about quickly is Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage to the Antarctic by Alfred Lansing. This was a ride, a whirlwind of a ride, and it was so good. So good. Okay, so in December of 1914, Shackleton and his crew of 27 men set sail from Georgia to the South Pole with the goal of crossing the Antarctic through the ice. But of course they fail and they get stuck in the ice and they're left drifting on this chunk of ice for about 10 months before the ice crushes the ship. And you're probably thinking, well, that fucking sucks. It does suck, but it's only the beginning of their struggles and things just get even worse. It just gets so much worse and it is crazy. The endurance, the strength, the courage, the sheer optimism this crew had despite the circumstances they were in, which ultimately led to their survival, is just such an inspiring tale. Honestly, I enjoyed this so much, but this is what I really like to read. I love survival stories like this. This edition came with so many photographs, so if you're ever at all interested in picking this up, I would try to get this edition. It was so good. I recommend this to those that like survival. You know, just check it out maybe. And that's it. That's it. Those are the 5 books that I will be talking about today. I do apologize for not having more to say about these books. It's been so long that honestly, my memory, like I said, I forget everything. And I didn't really take a lot of notes when reading these books, which I need to write more notes, but whatever, it's fine. If you guys have read these books, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions. We could chit chat in the comments below. That would be awesome. And that's all I really have to say for today. So I hope you guys have a great day or night, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.